One of the stupidest things you can do in any sport is ignore injuries, especially when they're tiny. It's normal to have completely random dinks and donks and whatever. Sometimes you get hurt, sometimes it carries out for the rest of the session, and then randomly it just goes away and never comes back. But if you have an injury, like me, I'm going to tell my story in a second, so don't feel bad. If you have an injury, or if you've had an injury that keeps reoccurring, that seems to keep be getting slightly worse week by week, session by session, but you keep pushing, just listen up. Have an attention span. I'm going to be spitting out some wisdom and hopefully helping you get through that. When I first got into calisthenics, first thing, I tore my shoulder. Whatever muscle I ripped in my rotator cuff wasn't diagnosed, but I know I teared it because I've been doing this for a while and it was a feeling I've never felt before. And also, I had like no range of motion anywhere. I think it was a very small muscle or a very partial tear, but I did tear something in my shoulder. Essentially, what the story is, I was at a wrestling camp. I was doing my thing. We were doing drills. We went to live wrestling, and essentially, my left arm went really far, like past here, like where my hand is, over my shoulder. I felt a little rip. It hurt. Could still kind of move it, but definitely couldn't move it like confidently. Couple days later, the camp went on for another like 2 or 3 days. Couple of days later, I tried doing handstand training again. Didn't work out. My left shoulder, when I would take a 2 pound dumbbell and I would go to press it up, would shake like this going up, and I messed up my shoulder. I ignored it for 4 weeks, made zero progress, probably made it a little bit worse. It took me a month to rehab. Second thing, with my wrist, same side of my body, left side, maybe correlative, who knows? Pain constantly. I was a setter in volleyball. I hyperextended my wrist a ton because I would try and do like really exotic sets to guys way too far away from me. And honestly, I was a pretty good setter. I was pretty good at it, which is why I kept doing it. But I hyperextended my wrist a ton, going like this, trying to flick out as far as I could to get as much force, as much power through my wrist as possible. Ignored that. Ignored that for about 2 years, 1 year, 2 years. It was a problem before I had started calisthenics. And I ignored it. I got injured doing handstands, had to stop training handstands again for like 4 months. Or not 4 months, Jesus. 4 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that before I could rehab it, before it was cool. I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you, because there was a guy in my community who I was talking to as well who had this problem, who had to take off 6 months because he injured himself. Please, 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 if you have a minor pain, take the 2 to 3 weeks to do this type of rehab or prehab or whatever you want to call it. Prehab isn't like a thing like that, but rehab, I guess, because you technically are injured, just very, very minor. Take these next few weeks, go light training. It's going to suck, but it's going to suck 1,000 times more if you get injured. I'm trying to give you some wisdom. What you need to do is you need to do lots of blood flow to start. So pick a weight or resistance that you can do from anywhere between 20 and 50 reps, higher reps if it's a really bad pain, 20 reps minimum if it's like not so big of a pain, if it's like kind of just like an annoyance when you start training, if it's like painful just by moving it. Like if you've ever been injured before, like in your wrist, you know if you cock your wrist this way, it's gonna hurt. Like, you know, if like you have a messed up thumb, like I had my thumb jammed for a year when I was boxing because I had like clipped someone's chin like this because I didn't tuck my thumb properly and I'm an idiot. Clipped their chin, thumb completely messed up for an entire year, like year and a half. It was horrible. I knew I go like this, my thumb's gonna hurt. Still, I kind of have like that in my imagination. It doesn't hurt, but I still have it like engraved into my brain that if I go like this, my thumb is gonna hurt, which is a little bit funny. But you know where it hurts. Find out where it hurts and try and get to like a 1 to 3 to maybe even 4 out of 10 pain on an exercise, not any higher. If it really, really hurts, if it's sharp, if it's aching, then maybe stop. Obviously, first step is always go see a doctor, but if it's very minor, you probably don't need to. You do this, you do high reps. Let's say it's your thumb, for example, or let's say it's your wrist. You can set up a barbell, you can set up a dumbbell, do very high reps, wrist curls. Super easy, set to 20 to 50. Just get tons of blood flow. Do low rest, do high amount of reps, do medium-ish amount of sets, like 2 to 6 sets. For that area, you can do both sides as well, just so you don't build muscle here and not muscle here. You want to strengthen both, obviously. Do that. Once the pain is completely gone, because it's fine if you have a little bit of pain. A lot of pain is bad. A little bit of pain is actually very good to help rehab it. A little bit of pain is fine. After you get to the point to where you have no pain, or it's like only when you're warming up and then when you do the exercise, it's completely fine. Decrease the reps, increase the weight a little bit. So let's say you're doing 10 kilos on wrist curls, that's a 50. What you would do is, once that becomes really easy, once there's no pain, do 12.5 kilos, 15 kilos. Go down to like sets of 40, sets of 30, whatever. Progressively overload, do that for a couple weeks until it should be a little bit painful again. Again, nothing more than like 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10. 5 out of 10 is like, this is mildly uncomfortable. It should be less than mildly uncomfortable. It should be like, yeah, I feel it, but it doesn't really bother me. Honestly, the burn from doing high reps should overpower the feeling that you get from the joint pain or the tendon pain or whatever. Next, after that becomes easy, make it more intense. Decrease the rep range, decrease the amount of, or increase the amount of weight, sorry. Keep going. You're shifting from more endurance kind of work, like long-term endurance. You can even format it to where like I need to do 200 total reps with this amount of weight, and the goal is just to get a really big pump throughout. You can do, I'm going to do this many sets at this many reps. It really doesn't matter. Just the goal is getting a ton of blood flow. Now you start to shift more into like hypertrophy style training. Still somewhat far away from failure. You don't want to go till failure or at failure because you're still technically injured at this point. You're maybe on like week 4 by now. What you would do is you would decrease the rep range even more, maybe sets at like 15 to 20, 12 to 20, something like that. Only 12 if you're like super fatigued, so like your third, fourth set, whatever. Just do regular hypertrophy training, still somewhat heavy weight, get like decently close to failure, like around 4 reps in reserve, still very easy. This shouldn't be painful. At this point, you should just be strengthening it. You should feel zero pain at all when doing this movement. And if you do feel a little bit of pain, that's still fine, but in most cases, you won't feel pain there. Next, what you would do is you can either stay where you're at now, or you can increase the weight and focus on strengthening it even more. I got to the point to where I couldn't go like this with my wrist, like literally just like this, not even with weight or anything. Like I'm holding my arm up and I curl my wrist in. I couldn't go like that without it hurting. I got to the point to doing 50 kilos for like 8 reps on wrist curls, single arm, not 2 hands, single, throughout this process. And now my wrists, I don't train it anymore because my wrists are more than strong enough. I train it for fun sometimes because like I do arm wrestling and stuff on the side along with calisthenics. But they're strong enough because I only weigh like 63 kilos. Like even if I fell on my hand, I could still probably wrist curl my body weight, to be quite honest, with one arm. At this point, I'm fine. Like my wrist is completely clear. You don't have to get to that level of strength. I just wanted to do it just for the sake of arm wrestling because I thought it was cool to be able to wrist curl a ton. But you don't need to get to that level of strength. So general basis of the program that I just listed out for you, start with high reps, 40 to 50. Throughout all of these, you want to be at like a 1 to 4 level of pain. Again, not too much. If it's achy, if it's sharp, whatever, just go see a doctor because it's just going to get worse. And it is getting worse, just stop the program. First step is listen to your body. Second step, follow what I'm saying. First thing you do, 40 to 50 reps, really easy, tons of sets, maybe like 6 sets, just tons and tons and tons and tons of blood flow. It can be after your workout, it can be on a separate day. Do this as often as you can, probably like 3 times a week ish is best, just for like your muscles to recover as well and not to mess with the rest of your training. If it's like in your elbow or whatever, do like hammer curls, try and get like decent range of motion. You don't have to be like super strict with the form. The goal is just to get a pump. Next thing, lower the rep range down to like 30, 40. Once that becomes easy, once you follow all the principles I just listed out, go down to 20, 30. Then at that point, you can go from like 10 to 20. You don't have to go to the next level. That level is completely fine. You're pretty much healed at this point. But if you want to, you can strengthen it even further and kind of bulletproof it even more. Mike Israetel talks about prehab not existing. But I've heard him admit it a couple times where he said if you're really, really strong, it's harder to get hurt. So that is technically prehab, and I will fight him on that. I won't. He'll kill me. He's significantly larger, and he's 1,000 times better at grappling than I will ever be. But there's a lot of other experienced athletes and coaches that I follow who say prehab is a thing, but it's like what you're doing is basically prehab. It's rehab, and then strengthening it even further is prehab. Just think about it like that. That's not the exact dictionary definition, whatever. It's prehab. Or yeah, prehab. That's been basically everything. I'm just going to format it for you one more time in case you want to write it down or whatever. Like, I have a piece of paper with me where I write these things down. It's videos and stuff. Also, in my school community, it's very, very cheap right now. I recommend you buy it because as more people join, the price is going up. It's like group calls and bonus lectures and all that type of stuff. And I have like extra videos where I go over things and like autistic details. And sometimes I'll do the fancy thing where like I draw graphs or whatever. That has been mostly everything. Just listing it out one more time for you. Do sets of 50 to 40, then 30 to 40, then 20 to 30, and then 10 to 20. And then if you want to go even further past that point, you can do sets of 6 to 8, 6 to 10, 5 to 10, whatever. Listen to your body. Progress slow. You know this is an injured area. If it's your knee, for example, do like leg extensions. If it's your ankle, do whatever ankle movement, like side rolls or calf raises or whatever to prevent that. I used to twist my ankle all the time when I first got into volleyball. I literally was able to walk because I progressively overloaded to the point. I would walk on like, if this is your feet, I would walk on like the side of my heels for like over a mile, and I never twisted my ankle again. Again, small things like that. Obviously, it's different because you're walking versus falling on it, but it did help. It at least gave me the mental confidence to know if my ankle falls or I twist my ankle or something, I won't injure myself. I haven't twisted an ankle in years, I think. But because of this simple type of training and specific joints like my elbows, doing side pressure for arm wrestling, doing side pressure for calisthenics as well, doing wrist curls, doing weird ankle drills, it makes you a lot more resilient to these injuries because you're strong in weird ways. And when you're strong in weird ways, it's hard to get hurt in weird ways. That has been everything. My name has been Brandon. I have a free Discord community for guys who want to it sounds a little bit funny. Guys who want to get so strong they fly over the bar, it looks like they're in creative mode like in Minecraft. I have a paid program as well, where I give like lectures and group calls and all that kind of stuff. It's super, super cheap right now, literally 27 USD. If it's more than that, then a bunch of people have joined, and price is probably going up as more and more people join, because since it's group calls, I need to be able to be hyper specific to the people who are actually in the community. That has been everything. My name has been Brandon. Keep doing the best of doing your best. Trust God. Signing off.